It's a normal day in the sports center when suddenly, one of the men begins throwing up blood. He's taken to the hospital without much thought, but as the days begin to pass, the other guys also get sick, and they never recover. Little by little, all men on Earth fall sick to a mysterious virus that doesn't affect women. 8 years later, only women are left on Earth. In New Zealand, an organization known as Wellness, led by Lane, has rebuilt the little town of Hero Valley into what they consider a paradise with proper education, health care, and mandatory leave for those going through Shark Week. Wellness is also in charge of running a repopulation lottery, which is used to decide the next women that will get pregnant using the seed left in bags from before the virus hit. Pip works in Wellness as a secretary and is a huge follower of their philosophy, seeing Lane as her idol. Her best friend Jamie lost her son and husband to the virus and is desperate to have another baby, so she always goes with Pip to the Wellness community events hoping she'll be chosen. However, Jamie's sister-in-law Alex thinks Wellness has installed an extremely abusive system and is against Wellness. During one of the community events, Alex throws a drink at Lane and gets arrested by Officer Constance. Alex is taken to Constance's office and she begins teasing the officer. It's obvious these two women know each other well and have done this before. When they're done, Constance asks Alex if she would like to go away for the weekend together sometime, but Alex reflects with a joke. At that moment, someone comes looking for Constance, so she has to finish her job. Alex points out this is why they can't have a normal relationship before Constance uses a special gun to insert a bliss ball into the base of Alex's neck. Meanwhile, the lottery announces that Jamie has chosen to have a baby. Hours later, Jamie is on her farm showing Pip the process to inseminate cows when Constance shows up to drop Alex, who is completely blissed and doesn't understand anything. Since today's act of vandalism was a repeat offense, the dose Alex was given will last 5 days. The next day, Jamie goes to her first doctor's appointment and meets Viv, who had been chosen 4 times but never got to the next stage. Jamie didn't know there was another stage, so she gets nervous during the checkup, but Dr. Harvey promises her health is outstanding and her chances to be chosen are very high. She also reminds her that she'll lose the baby if it's a boy, but Jamie is fine with taking the risk. Afterward, she goes to visit a working girl at a bawdy house and makes her wear Jackson's clothes in order to pretend she's together with her husband again. Sometime later, Pip is getting some snacks ready for a company meeting and accidentally drops a plate. When she moves under the table to pick the snacks up, she hears Lane and Harvey enter the room and have a weird conversation. Harvey wonders if they should have quality or quantity, and Lane says an abundant future is her top priority. At that moment, Pip makes her presence known and Lane cuts the conversation short, turning to Pip in a sweet yet manipulative way to remind her to keep confidences. On the farm, Alex finds notes she left for herself on how to proceed when she's blissed since she's been through this many times. After feeding herself and sucking on a tank of dentist anesthesia, Alex goes to the bathroom and uses a scalpel to remove the bliss ball from her body. Then Alex goes to visit her mother, who was sent to a retirement home after Wellness blissed her permanently for speaking against them. In the evening, Jamie and Pip find the blood-stained bathroom but no Alex in the house. Thinking she's still blissed and a danger to herself, they desperately go looking for her, but as soon as they get in the truck, Pip gets distracted and hits someone. For a moment they think they killed Alex, but Alex chooses that moment to show up. The girls don't understand who else could be on the farm at this hour, and when they check the body, they're shocked to discover is an actual man. The girls drag Bobby into the barn, and Jamie can't help crying because she keeps being reminded of Jackson. Bobby's unconscious and has a wound on his leg, so Alex and Jamie take care of it while ignoring Pip, who insists they should hand the guy to Wellness. The next morning, the girls are woken up by the arrival of a Wellness car. Jamie remembers they're putting her home through a baby safe inspection, meaning she and Pip will have to deal with this while Alex stays in the barn since she's supposed to still be blissed. Pip and Jamie answer the inspector's questions, and whenever they hear a noise from the barn, they blame it on the cows. Alex looks into Bobby's bag and finds a clipping about her mother's revolutionary discoveries in the dairy industry, which can't be a coincidence. Suddenly Bobby wakes up and pushes Alex away to grab his things. Then he tries to leave, so Alex has to jump on him to stop him. A fight ensues and Bobby easily overpowers her, but Alex manages to grab the electric cattle prod and knocks Bobby out with it. By the time the inspector comes to the barn to check on the noises, Alex has hidden Bobby and pretends to be blissed to get the inspector to finally leave. Moments later, Bobby wakes up to find himself tied up. Alex demands to know why he has a picture of her mother, but Bobby refuses to talk and isn't scared of the prod. Alex decides to try to put the bliss ball into him to make him talk, but when Bobby starts struggling and begging for mercy, Alex is reminded of her mother and steps back. Upset by the memory, Alex chooses to destroy the bliss ball. Meanwhile, Jamie goes to her second doctor's appointment, only to find out she hasn't made it to the next stage. Devastated, she calls Pip to ask for her help, and Pip promises she'll try to pull some strings. Pip goes to talk to Lane, explaining Jamie is the perfect candidate and that believes there could be some mix-up. Lane promises she'll look into it with her usual manipulative sweetness. Some hours later, Lane tells Pip that indeed there had been a mix-up and Jamie should have never been put into the lottery in the first place. At the same time, Jamie visits Dr. Harvey to know why she was denied, but Harvey says she had approved Jamie and has no idea who changed it. Back to Alex, She's explaining to Bobby that her mother was permanently blished for saying there were male survivors. In return, Bobby confirms she wasn't crazy. There are more male survivors like him and Alex's mother was the key to everything. Now she's out of the picture. Men are being hunted. When Jamie comes home, she tries to keep herself distracted, but she can't stop crying over the denied application. She's suddenly startled by Alex, who comes to cheerfully inform her that Bobby knows things and she'll bring wellness down thanks to him. Jamie realizes Bobby can be the solution to her problems too and goes to see him, putting a cup in his hands as she asks for his seed. Then she begins dancing to inspire him, but she's still too upset and begins crying. Pip hears her and drags her out of the barn thinking she's crazy, but when she sees how important this is to Jamie, Pip goes to the barn to get the job done herself. Moments later, Pip brings the cup with the seed to Jamie, who uses the cow insemination tools to put the seed inside herself. Meanwhile, not far from the farm, a hunter uses some pictures she took from security cameras to track Bobby. The next morning, Pip asks Bobby for more of his seed just in case the first batch didn't work. If they want him to collaborate, Bobby wants to be treated better in return, so Pip allows him to enter the house and take a shower. She also lends him some clothes. Afterward, she brings the seed to Jamie, being careful to avoid Alex hearing what they're doing. Moments later, Alex brings food and beer for Bobby, asking him to play Never Have I Ever with the intention of getting him drunk and hopefully getting more information. In the end, Bobby tricks Alex into drinking more and cutting his ropes, giving him the chance to escape. However, the wound on his leg and Pip's small pants don't allow Alex to run well and he ends up falling on a pile of cow excrement. Feeling defeated, he returns to the barn and finally shows Alex that he has a phone SIM card that a friend of his gave to him before he was hunted down. This card is supposed to guide him to a safe place for survivors, and Alex agrees to help. Meanwhile, Jamie is about to get the seed in herself when she remembers Viv, who never got to the next stage either. Refusing to be selfish, Jamie decides to put the seed in a cooler and leaves it at Viv's door as a donation from Robin Hood. The next morning, Alex brings Bobby an old phone from her mother's and they put the SIM card in it, but they only find a message that says rise from an unknown number. Pip goes to work and learns that Viv has brought the cup of seed to Lane. Yet instead of seeing her as a hero, Lane makes Constance bliss Viv. Pip calls home to alert his friends that Wellness knows about Bobby, then she rushes back to the farm, where the Wellness vehicles are already arriving. Luckily, Alex, Jamie, and Bobby are hiding, and Pip quickly joins them to scold Jamie for using the farm coolers. An argument ensues that Alex cuts short, calling out Pip for abusing Bobby and Jamie for trying to get pregnant in secret, which she couldn't have hidden from Wellness when the belly started to grow. Now they can't go back to the farm, and Alex is upset because it's the last memory she had of her brother. Suddenly the phone starts ringing and Bobby hears a mysterious male voice telling him to rise before giving him coordinates to find the safe house for men. Bobby quickly writes it down, but so does the hunter, whose phone allows her to peep into any conversation, thanks to the fact there are almost no phone lines left in the current world. Bobby and the girls escape in Jamie's car and make it to the safe house, which turns out to be the sports center where it all began. But even after they wait there for 10 hours, nobody shows up. Bobby and Alex leave the car to relieve themselves and suddenly they notice a red light on Alex's forehead. It's the hunter, who has finally found them. The two of them run back to the car as the hunter begins to chase them, and Bobby tells the girls this is the woman that killed his friend 2 weeks ago. Pip gets furious because Bobby didn't tell them he was being tracked and she gets distracted, accidentally taking the road that goes into Sinkfest. This is the festival that celebrates Women's Shark Week, and this road is one way only, so now they have to stay and find a different escape route. They hide Bobby under a blanket and pretend it's an old lady while a valet takes the car away. Bobby needs a better costume though, so they steal a mascot suit before trying to hide in the crowd, only for the group to end up accidentally splitting. Jamie thinks she can see Jackson and follows him to one of the games, where she suddenly begins to puke. The girl sitting next to her points out Jamie's pregnant, but Jamie refuses to believe it. However, when she gets off the game she keeps on throwing up, meaning it wasn't dizziness from the game, she really is pregnant. Jamie also notices that the person she thought was Jackson actually is just a girl wearing similar clothes. Pip bumps into one of the women from the committee, who reminds her she had volunteered to help with the festival. Now Pip has no choice but to work at the tent with the face paint, but when she notices the hunter has arrived, she runs away anyway. She hides in another tent and bumps into Lane, who uses sweet words to manipulate her again, promising a position on the committee if she accepts to do the right thing. The old women from the retirement home are also brought to the festival, so Alex approaches her mother to see if she can recognize Bobby. At that moment, the hunter shows up, and Bobby runs away to hide in the mirror labyrinth. The girls reunite and follow him there, where they accidentally split up again because the mirrors play with their minds. For example, Jamie sees herself with a big pregnant belly. After lots of bumping their heads against the mirrors, the girls reunite and see how the hunter sedates Bobby before taking him away. Following them is hard because of the labyrinth, but Pipe uses face paint to mark the corridors they've already taken. Eventually they come out and find the hunter taking Bobby away in her truck, so Jamie runs after them and jumps on the back of the truck to be taken too. While Alex and Pip get into their own vehicle to follow them, Alex looks around the truck for something she can use and discovers a bunch of tranquilizer darts. She also finds a shovel that she takes with her when the hunter stops by an abandoned house and takes Bobby inside. Jamie tries to stop the hunter, who immediately overpowers her and takes the shovel from her, but Jamie also brought a bunch of darts. By throwing a bunch of them, she manages to hit the hunter with at least one and puts her to sleep. Afterward, Jamie takes Bobby away in the hunter's truck and tells him she's pregnant. They leave the mascot suit near a sign on the road to give Pip and Alex a clue about where they are, and eventually the group reunites. Jamie tells them what happened and they're surprised to hear about the tranquilizer darts, because that means the hunter wanted to capture Bobby alive. Alex and Jamie want to take Bobby back to the coordinates they got from the phone, but Pip ignores them and in a shocking act of betrayal, she takes them to wellness. While Alex, Jamie, and Bobby get arrested, Lane takes Pip to her new fancy room, announcing she's now part of the committee. Alex and Jamie are put in a cell, and when Lane comes to take all their personal items away, Alex tries to save Jamie by announcing she's pregnant. Lane doesn't care though, and she informs them that they'll go through the same procedure as Alex's mother, who was caught in this cell too. Afterward, Constance comes to take them to the doctor, crying over what she and Alex could have had because she was falling in love with her. However, Alex disagrees because no relationship can be real as she isn't allowed to feel both the good and the bad. Meanwhile, Pip joins the big banquet wearing the fancy dresses Lane gifted her. Everyone treats her as a hero, but Pip starts feeling bad when she sees Bobby tied up at the end of the table. Bobby refuses to talk to her except to insult her, but the other women think they're getting along and get jealous because Bobby had ignored everyone else. Lane suddenly stands up and asks Pip to kiss Bobby, but she's shy and only pecks his cheek. The women begin asking for more, causing a furious Bobby to push Lane away only for the others to grab him down and push him onto the table. Constance quickly enters the room when she hears the commotion and is shocked to see Lane asking Pip to get frisky with Bobby in front of everyone. Lane also uses her hand to get Bobby inspired. When Pip hesitates, Lane threatens her with blessing her friends if she doesn't obey, finally showing her true colors. Pip climbs on the table, and when she notices Lane wearing Jamie's necklace, she finally snaps and calls the entire group for the awful people that they are. Lane orders the officers to arrest Pip, and Constance takes her to the surgery room to be blissed permanently too. The doctors are getting ready to do Alex and Jamie, but Constance tells them Pip is a priority. This is a trick, and as soon as the doctors turn around, Constance knocks them out. Then they wake Alex and Jamie up, and Alex accepts to knock Constance out with her gun to cover up her betrayal. Before passing out, Constance tells Alex that she hates her. The girls run out of the building and Pip tries to apologize, but it isn't enough for Alex and Jamie to forgive her yet. They agree to work together for the sake of Bobby, but first they need clothes and weapons. They find an abandoned shed with an electrical prod and some clothing, allowing them to make a plan. On the road, Lane is taking Bobby away in her car, and the girls block the way with a cow. As soon as the car stops, Pip knocks Lane out with the prod and takes Jamie's necklace back. Meanwhile, Alex frees Bobby from his bindings. However, Bobby refuses to go with them because he doesn't trust Pip. Their argument gives Lane time to wake up and threaten them with a gun. The girls put themselves between Bobby and the gun, and Pip jumps on Lane to fight her, making her drop the weapon. As both women struggle, Alex retrieves the prod and electrocutes Lane for a longer period so she's properly unconscious this time. While the girls are distracted, Bobby runs away to find the sports center again. At first nobody answers his pleas, but when a camera detects his face, a door finally opens and he gets inside. The girls see people arriving to help Lane and follow Bobby into the building, which gives away their location to the hunter. Pip begs for their lives and the hunter corrects her, explaining she doesn't kill men, she protects them. Suddenly the door closes and the hunter explains this isn't a safe place, it's a trap. Gas begins filling the room, and since all doors and windows are locked, the hunter helps the group escape through the ventilation vent. Unfortunately, she can't follow, and before dying, she tells Alex she's just like her mother. Alex realizes the hunter has the same tattoos as her mom and they've lost an important ally. The group begins crawling through the vents as the gas follows them, but eventually Bobby gets stuck and they can't advance. The vents are flimsy though, so the group begins shaking them to break them. The idea works and they fall on the floor to find the reality of a terrifying room. There are men tied to chairs everywhere being milked for their seats while dirty movies play on TVs. At that moment, Lane and Harvey show up with security guards. They explain they're stockpiling seed for when the pre-virus banks run out. That way they'll be able to control the country. The SIM card Bobby had was all part of a plan by Wellness. This way survivors come to them instead of having to look for them. The man that recorded the messages turns out to be Jackson, who Bobby recognizes as the friend he thought was dead. To make matters worse, Jackson is in a relationship with Lane. Bobby gets furious when he realizes Jackson has been betraying every man he met, but when he tries to attack him, the officers capture Bobby and take him away to be milked too. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.